This is the world map of my JRPG. There is no world in it, no terrain, no collision, nowhere to walk. It's a menu that spent a lot of effort pretending to be a place. Let me show you how it's built. World maps are a classic element of the genre, something that couldn't be missing in this game. There are plenty of classic and modern examples of a world map, but my concept was a mix of two, Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy Tactics. And honestly, the idea came out of a limitation, not out of a plan. What I actually had was the tile sets from bundles that I bought for this project, the window designs I made in Photoshop, and the idea of making something simple and elegant. Let's have a look at what I had on hand. The character pack I used ships a reduced version of some characters, small sprites, which is exactly what I wanted for something that reads like Chrono Trigger. The plot matters here for one reason. In a previous game, a game that doesn't exist and that's only told as a story inside this one, the hero lost and an overlord took the surface. So in Omicron Historia, everyone lives underground. And the tile sets I had were pretty normal, exactly what everyone expects a world map to look like. I could have repainted the palette to fit the underground world, but then I thought, why not try something different? The idea was a map that looks like a scroll drawn on paper using those exact tiles. If the map is a drawing, it can't be like a Chrono Trigger map. You don't get free movement on a drawing. You get marked places and roads between them, the way Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics do it. So the limitation picked the convention for me. That's the whole reason this is a node-based map and not a terrain. So to get started, I drew a few maps by hand first, then I got tired and wrote a script that generates the world maps for me procedurally, which is worth explaining because the generator is not part of the game, it's just a Python file that writes a tile grid into a JSON file, and then a Godot script reads that file and builds the whole scene out of it. However, I didn't like the procedural result on its own. What's in the game is a mix, one of the generated maps plus my own edits on top of it. The ground and the coast are auto tiles, so the script only has to say where the land is and the tile set picks every edge itself. And the mountains around the world map do the story work. The world's underground, so the map has a wall around it. You are inside something. The scroll looks one shader, one full screen racked on top of everything. It throws the color away, keeps only how light or dark each pixel was, and puts that back between two wings, dark brown and paper. Everything below it becomes a drawing. There is one problem though. Blue water and green grass are almost the same brightness, so in plain sepia the coastline just disappears. So the shader measures how blue a pixel is and makes it darker by that much. The sea sinks, the coast comes back. That one line is what let the whole thing be a single pass. Two exceptions to the pass. Landmarks get their own little shader that pushes their contrast up, so buildings are darker in the map. And the party sprite and the cursor sit on a layer above the paper, so they keep their color. Every place on the map is a node with a sprite. That's it. The tile map is scenery, nothing in the game logic ever asks the tile map anything. Which means placing a town is basically dragging a node. The position I drag it to is the position everything else reads back. The cursor, the label, the road, the fog. One thing I wrote that helps me a bit is that the node asks its own sprite how big it is. So a 1-tile shire and a 3-tile castle both get their name and their cursor in the right place. And entering a place goes through the same code path as walking through a door on the map. It's the exact same system I use for transfers between two maps in the game. A landmark is just another door. Now let's talk about the roads. A road in the system is a path 2D with two exports. The landmark it starts at and the landmark it ends at. And I fill those by hand, one road at a time. And that's the point of the whole system. Those two fields are how I decide which paths the player can take and in what order. What I don't want to do by hand is drawing the curve, so there is a button for that. It draws the curve between the 2 points with a bit of a bend so it doesn't look like a ruler. While the editor is running, each road keeps its first and last point glued to its landmarks, so dragging a tile drags every road that touches it. Everything in between stays exactly where I shaped it. So I connect the places by hand, the curve gets generated from that, and then I'm free to reshape it however I want. To travel through the map, the player just needs to move the cursor. For every open place, I calculate how far it is along the direction I pressed and how far off to the side. And when you confirm the map searches the roads for a way there, it won't route you through a place you haven't unlocked yet. And walking is just sampling the curve. Godot bakes a path 2D into evenly spaced points for you, so the party walks point to point, facing whichever axis it's moving along the most. One choice I made for that, and it's not a bug, the sprite never stops walking. So even parked on a town, the walk cycle keeps running. That's how old sprite maps did it, and this makes the map more alive. So let's talk about the fog of war. This is simpler than it looks, because it's two completely separate things that people tend to build as one. There's what the game remembers and there's what the fog looks like. They never touch. What the game remembers is a picture, one image, the shape of the map filled in white. White means nobody has been here before. Every time the party arrives somewhere or takes a step along a road, I punch a soft hole in that picture. In that system, a pixel can only get clearer, never darker. So that picture ends up being a record of everywhere the party has ever walked. Also, the image is a quarter the size of the map, just to save memory, but that picture is only in the memory. It's still made of circles, and circles look nothing like a fog. This shader draws the clouds on top of it. The picture says where the fog is, and the shader decides what it looks like. A slow drifting cloud with a ragged edge, so you never see the circle underneath it. And arriving somewhere doesn't pop the hole open, it twins so the cloud looks like it's pulling away. And the fog is never saved, not one pixel of it. The save already knows which places the party has visited, so on load I walk that list, stamp a circle on every visit place, and stamp every row that runs between the two visit places. The fog is redrawn from the save, not stored in it. The map itself doesn't get saved. Each place just carries two flags in my save manager, open and visited. And a locked place isn't grayed out. It isn't there at all. A new save will open the map with two dots and a lot of clouds. And the Pathfinder refuses to walk you through anywhere you haven't unlocked. So the map isn't a picture of the world, it's a picture of how much of the world you've explored. So that's the world map, a tile map that's only scenery, a node per place, a curve per road, a black and white picture for memory, and one shader that turns all of it into paper. And if you want to talk about any of this, come say hi on my Discord, the link's down in the description. If this was useful to you, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching.